Yeah, so welcome to Austin. Welcome to the Dolby House, South by Southwest 23. You played last night, right, at Vibe and
Yeah,
Def
yeah,
Jam's
yeah.
new and next party at the Empire Garage. How was
Yeah, it
that?
was crazy. I feel like South by performances are so like hectic, you know what I mean? Like, but it was still cool. Like I'm a hectic ass dude, so I kind of like I don't know. It just made sense for me, you know what I mean? But it was interesting if I'm being like transparent. Like me and Jadakiss was like the headliners, so like the crowd was just
Nice.
so different. Like it was just insane. Like looking at like a 45-year-old and then like a kid that just want to like mosh. You know what I mean?
How did it feel to get up in front of people here at South by? I think it's been a couple of years, obviously, since it's really popped off down here in
Yeah,
Austin. But how was the crowd? How did it feel to get in front of people and do what you do?
it was crazy because like I'm like a nerd for real, and like I'm a fan of music. So like I grew up watching like South by performances, and like just to see myself or like be on a stage at South by was like it was crazy for me. Like you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah, well, congratulations on Almetha's Son, the
thank
album.
you.
It's in Dolby Atmos, mixed by KY
Yep,
Engineering,
yep.
and man, it is like such an amazing record, a real autobiographical record. Obviously, naming the record Almetha's Son is very personal to you.
Yeah,
You wanted to portray a very personal story. Talk about how it came together and really what making a record like that using your mother's name
yeah.
means.
I mean, I feel like all my music prior to like to I Meet the Sun was like it was good, but I feel like it wasn't really as reflective as I feel like it could have been. So going into like making that project, I really wanted to be like as transparent as possible and like kind of shameless, you know what I mean? And just talk about like more than just like where I'm at today. Like I wanted people to be able to walk away from it and be like, oh, I know who SwaVay is. Like, bro, I used to do this thing or like I'd be on the phone like with my friends and I would say shit like, oh, J. Cole would never do no shit like that. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, I know Drake, he would never do nothing like that. I never, to this day, I haven't met J. Cole and, I never met Drake, but like their music made me feel like I knew them. You get what I mean? So I wanted to make a project that people go walk away from it and be like, oh, I know him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and you've said that it's, about being a young kid from Atlanta and what it's like coming up in Atlanta and coming up in that environment. What does Atlanta mean to you? What is the vibe that Atlanta brings you?
Atlanta's is who I am. You know what I mean? It's in like little things that I say. Like, if we have like a conversation outside of this, it's probably like, shit, goddamn, I'm probably goddamn shit, like hell no. You know what I mean? But it's like it's bigger than like an accent. Like it defined like my music. Like, I'm kind of like a quote unquote lyricist, I would say. But like a lot of the beats are hard hitting, like some Atlanta shit. You know what I mean? And it's just I can't really describe like what it's like to be from Atlanta unless you really like from it. You know what I mean? And I know Atlanta is like pridefully like the face of hip hop right now, but like to me, like it's bigger than me being a hip hop artist from the most hip hop place on earth right now. Like it's how I walk, it's how I talk, it's how I think. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. What I feel like where if you were from, where are you from?
I'm from Maryland, but I live in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So I mean, shit, you probably got Baltimore ass ways. You know what I
I
mean?
do.
Like
I
it's the same
do.
shit.
I do. Well, I mean, drawing on Atlanta hip hop influences, obviously there's such a rich legacy there. Outkast, Ludacris, Dungeon Family. I mean, you're definitely a lyricist. I'm sure those were some of the artists that
Of
influenced
course, yeah.
you coming up.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when I listen to the record, I mean, it is definitely an homage to classic hip hop records in a lot of different
Yeah,
ways. I
yeah.
mean, I think starting with the lyricism, I mean, there's just so much fire coming at you at all different times and different ways of describing your life and how it goes down. Who were some of your influences growing up
Bro, it's
listening to it?
crazy. Like, if I'm being completely transparent, like my mom, like, is like the most religious person on earth. So like, I didn't grow up with like I grew up in the house hearing like Tupac and like Biggie and shit. Like, nah, my mom only listened to like gospel and Mary J. Blige and shit like that. You know what I mean? But like, I would find like music like on my own time. You know what I mean? Like while she was at work and just listening to those. You know those you know, like the last channels on cable, like 999, 998, and shit like that, where it'd be like the rap channel, the R&B channel, you know what I mean, the rock channel. Like I would sit there and just listen to them shits all day. And then in those like moments, like I'd find songs that I like, but I also kind of find my identity as well. You know what I mean? So that's really like my music foundation. Yeah, it's crazy.
And there's a lot of different musical styles on the record too. I mean, there's kind of trap, there's bounce, there's southern bounce, there's like some boom bap elements to it.
Yeah.
Were you coming into it like I just want to represent all of my influences and all the things that have gotten me to where I am, or did you sort of focus on creating a certain sound as you went along? Because you're also a producer as well.
Yeah. I don't know, like I kind of wanted everything to be cohesive, so I kind of really didn't want to show like all my influences, but like I was having a conversation with somebody like I think like last week, and I was just saying that like I'm really in my head these days when I'm making music because I only want stuff to sound like it's 100% me. You know what I mean? But I was talking to like my friend, and he was just like, "Bro, you really can't help, you know, being influenced, and that's okay." You know what I mean? So like with that project, like as intentionally me as I was trying to be, like you still can't help, you know what I mean, like your influences, like and who they are and like how much like of that is actually you. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I think like stylistically, when I hear like the skits on the record, it makes me think of like
Yeah.
3 Feet High and Rising, you know,
Right.
R.I.P. True Gutta Dove. It makes me think of Doggy Style
Yeah,
records
facts.
like that.
That's really where I got that shit from, Doggy Style. Like I think that album is probably like one of the best rap albums of all time. And like those skits is just so they're just so crazy to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really kind of weaves the record together and it kind of keeps it cohesive. And it's different ways of like experiencing your life and getting it out there to people. So when you perform live, do you draw on the inspiration that you had in the studio, or are you just coming at it from a completely new kind of spontaneous angle when you get up there in front of people?
Bro, like I used to have a goal like every night to just be like the most lit performer. You know what I mean? Like to just go out there and just kind of like be just lit as fuck, honestly. But like I think now, like after coming off the tour and everything, like the same way like I'm trying to be personable in my music, like I'm trying to be personable or just as personable on stage. Like, you know, I'm not gonna ruin my whole little like routine, but like it's definitely personable, you know what I mean? So I guess it's kind of the same, yeah.
And do you feel like a connection to the fans in the room or in the space when you're performing live that's unique and different?
Yeah. I try to like if I'm being honest, I hate rap shows. I think rap shows are ass. Like, oh my goodness. I never want to go to a show and watch it like just rap over his song. That is so stupid. Like, I hate that. So like I don't do that. But at the same time, like I just try to make sure people can like walk away and be like, you know what? Even if I hate rap shows, like that was a damn good show. Like I seen I seen 070 Shake perform like last year, and that shit like changed my whole like outlook on performing and like just how she moved and how she was on stage and like how she just was interactive and personable. You know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, like I'm not gonna go on stage and just like rap over my songs. That shit is so ass. I don't know how we got there just now, but that shit sucks. Oh my goodness.
It's about the connection with your fans, right? And
Yeah,
there's different ways of doing that. And I think, you know, sitting down with you at Soul Asylum, shout out Soul Asylum Studios and KY Engineering, sitting down with the two of you in that amazing room in Atlanta and listening to your vocals in Atmos was a really special experience. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, like when you sat down with KY, and what's super cool about him mixing the record in Atmos is that he was also the stereo mix engineer
Yeah.
on it as well. So he's really able to translate his art translate your art, but really be true to your original creative intent. How did it feel like sitting in that studio and hearing your music in Dolby Atmos for the first time? And did that spark an idea for connection with your fans and your listeners?
I mean, yeah, I think going into like the next project, yeah, but like, bro, I only met KY because I was so against Dolby. At first, I was like, bro, I'm not doing that
Let's
shit.
get the
like,
real talk here.
Yeah, I'm just being completely honest. I was not for it. Like, I didn't understand it, and like, I'm super hard headed. I'm super intentional, and if oh my bro, you know how annoying I am, or I could be about my music. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like so much to the point where my label and Dolby reached out and was like, listen, like, do you want to meet KY and go to like a Dolby Atmos studio and sit down and see how it's done? And I went there and I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, like this is actually interesting as fuck. And like I actually do like this, you know what I mean? And then me and KY just developed a relationship in a time span of like 3 hours. Like we talked for 3 hours, like in the midst of him doing the Dolby shit. It's confusing as fuck, but it's the coolest shit ever. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, like it is interesting. It changed like how you listen to music. Like you can hear shit here. Like it's like I don't know. It's like it puts you in the music. You know what I mean? And now like I wish that like I could go back and work on that project even more. Like just so like I could make it, I don't know, a little bit more beneficial when you listen to it in Dolby. Because like, bro, like it's shit you can do in Dolby that you shouldn't even be able to do in life. Like I'm not gonna lie, that shit's it's crazy.
So I think what you're touching on is something that we hear producers and artists start to talk about more frequently, and that's thinking about going into the creation of new music with Dolby Atmos in mind, thinking like, what can I do here in this environment where I'm not limited by a number of speakers, where I've got all of this space to work with, vocals, arpeggiation, ad-libs, all of that. It sounds like it sparked some new way of thinking for how you can create.
Yeah, no, it really did. Like I said, like now working on like the stuff that I'm working on now, like, bro, I don't know. Does anybody make music in here? Like, you make music, Like, I know you make music, Omar, but like, I changed like how I record. Like, bro, like especially being a rapper, like I would go in the studio and like record on like 2 tracks a lot. Like somebody sent me a beat and it was incredible and I like how they mixed it. Fuck it, we gonna record it and we gonna mix it like this. But now it's like I can't do that. Like I'm going to get every single stem. You get what I mean? Just so like I can send something here, I can send something here. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could be so much more intentional like in Dolby. And like now it's like I love it because of how intentional and honestly how annoying I am. Like, so yeah.
It just means you care, man. It just means
I
you care
do.
about your art
Yeah.
and you care about the experience and how it's delivered to people. And so talking about experiences, you had a chance to cruise through the first floor here and see all of the different ways that your Dolby Atmos mix can reach consumers.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the experience down there?
Well, y'all definitely figured out how to get a Maybach in the building, so that was crazy. It was. If I'm, how honest do you want me to be? Like,
It's your stage, man.
there's a whole bunch of shit I wanted to like steal and ask for, because like I'm not like I don't know how much that shit costs, but I don't know. I want it. You know what I mean? And so yeah.
If you find a way to get the Maybach out of here, man, well done. You know,
Well, I would drive that bitch all the way back to Atlanta. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just, like, I walked in. It was a really nice, sweet, like, auntie ass lady, and she was just like, "Hey, baby, you can get in this line, and you can like, you know, sit and listen to something in the Maybach of your choice." I was like, "Damn!" Like, you know, like, I'm really trying to get upstairs to like do this whole little thing. But when she said that, I'm like, "Oh, really? You can really do that?" Like, I almost hopped in the line. It probably might have been a little late, but
it's good. But you got to check it out, though.
Yeah.
You were in there. Yeah. Where'd you sit?
I didn't do it yet.
Oh, you didn't do it yet? Okay.
I'm going to though.
We got to make sure we get SwaVay and the Maybach downstairs.
And put the
sure.
keys in there too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're used to doing like the car test when you're checking your mixes or you're checking your production.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in the car. What do you think of the car as an environment for a Dolby Atmos experience? I mean, having the enclosed space with the fixed speakers and knowing where the listener's seated and it just being accessible in that way.
I just feel like the moment when Dolby is in everything, like music is gonna change for the better. You know what I mean? Like if I could just somehow get Dolby in like my old ass Beamer, Like I would drive everywhere. I probably would have drove to Austin.
But we could probably figure out a way to retrofit.
They'll pay for it.
We've done it.
Yeah,
man. All right, well, we'll open it up to Q&A here in a second, but I'm curious, what's coming up for you? What's next for SwaVay? What should we look out for?
Well, I just got off tour, and I'm like back home, like recording, and it's interesting because like I'm a thinker, I'm an overthinker, but I was on tour and I was just thinking so much. Like I couldn't wait to come home and record, but at the same time I didn't really want to leave tour either. So I'm going back on tour, but I'm recording. I'm working on like 2 separate projects right now.
Well, I'm sure KY will be interested in what you've got going on, and huge shout out to KY Engineering for doing the mix and for sitting down with us, and thank you for sharing all of this. Any questions for SwaVay?
What's up, my boy? That fit is crazy.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Exhausted, but great overall. I was at that show last night.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think? Be for real, like. It was weird, like I said. Like,
why would I be anything other than for real?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So, you came on stage, and there was a tangible shift in the energy.
Damn.
The way that you interacted with the crowd, it was immediate that you were a seasoned performer. So when you made that comment just now, stating that you just came off tour, and you were so focused on like, lit, stick, lit, fuck the club, you know, like bringing all that energy out and fostering that kind of experience for people, which is fantastic, which is great. But there's also a way you can foster a kind of experience. I was like 700 feet this way, and I felt like you were speaking directly to me because you were speaking to the crowd.
Yeah.
And you were presenting yourself, and you crossed that line between that like third, fourth wall, whatever you want to call it, between the artist or performer and the audience and the person. And I felt more cohesive, and I felt like the experience was more communal versus you on the stage telling me to do something. There was an actual connection that I felt, and if I felt it, it's entirely sure that everyone around me or some people were able to recognize that as well. So I see you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was the sweetest thing someone's ever. I might have to give you a hug.
Yeah, that connection's been made.
That was so nice. Thank you, bro.
That's awesome.
Oh man, what's up?
How you doing, bro?
My name's Obi. I'm chilling. Question for you, obviously. How have you seen Dolby Atmos advancing your career since doing that?
What do you mean by that? Like, how is like Dolby like advanced me, or how is like what? Do you
have
mean?
you seen any benefits? And besides, of course, the creative side, have you seen any in the macros and the numbers? Have you seen or brand endorsements or something like that? Have you seen more movement?
Yeah, you want me to keep shit at like 1,000 with you
every time,
bro? That video that they showed y'all, bro, I probably seen that shit like half of a time. You get what I'm saying? But that shit is booming on YouTube. That shit got like more views than like some of my music videos. And we got like a TikTok that's like, I hate the way that sounds. Oh my goodness. We got like a TikTok that's shooting through the moon. Like it's definitely like viral. Like Daniel, my manager, sent it to me and was like, "You seen the numbers on this?" And I was like, "No." But like I think people are finding me from like Dolby, you know what I mean? And like, it's not something that like I even slightly regret or feel like is a waste of time. It's not one of those brand things where I'm just doing it just for whatever. Like this is like something I actually like stand with and for. And it just so happens that I'm gaining followers from it and eating off this shit, and they're gonna give me free shit, maybe a Maybach after this. You know what I'm saying? Like
they gonna give it to you, bro.
They have to.
You gotta take it.
For sure.
Shout out to Jordan and Allison who helped make that video possible. So
absolutely,
thank you both for doing that.
Snaps.
And Ian over here, and a lot of people here, so thank you.
Facts. But yeah, shit, man.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Thank you.
What else? What do you want to leave us with? Anything? Any
Nothing.
advice?
Every time I see you, just are well dressed. I feel like I should
Well,
have goddamn put
I had
some
to
shit
come
on.
correct and match up with you, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank y'all for coming and listening to me speak about shit that I'm gonna watch later and be like, I could have said that better. But thank y'all so much.
No, you did great.
Thank you.
You did great. Thank you.